Today I want to talk about something that can change your life, your career, your business, and even your marriage. The title is simple: How to Speak Like a Smart Person. Now, before we begin, let me confess something. When I was younger, I was not the smartest person in the room. In fact, sometimes I was not even the smartest person in the bathroom. I failed many exams, got rejected from jobs, and when I spoke in English, people thought I was singing a strange song. But over the years, I learned something powerful. You don't have to be a genius to sound like one. You just have to know how to speak in a way that makes people listen, believe, and follow. So today, I will teach you how to do exactly that. I will break this speech into lessons, each one funny, practical, and life-changing. And if you listen carefully, by the end of this talk, you may not become Einstein, but you will at least stop sounding like a confused chicken at a conference. Let's begin. Smart people don't use 1,000 words when 10 words can do the job. If you want to sound smart, stop giving people your autobiography when they only asked for directions. Let me give you an example. Someone asks, "Where's the bathroom?" If you are not smart, you say, "Well, the bathroom is located on the second floor to the right, next to the water dispenser. But let me tell you, when they built this building, they first thought about putting it on the left side. But later the architect decided, let's put it on the right side because by the time you finish your story, the poor person no longer needs the bathroom. The problem has solved itself." A smart person simply says, "Second floor, right side, done." Speaking smart is not about speaking a lot. It's about speaking right. People don't remember numbers. They remember stories. You can give someone 10 statistics, 15 charts, and 20 PowerPoint slides, but after 2 hours, they won't remember a single percentage. Yet if you tell them one good story, they will repeat it for the rest of their lives. That's the magic of storytelling. If you want to sound smart, stop throwing statistics like a broken calculator. Numbers may look impressive, but they don't touch the heart. Stories, on the other hand, sneak into people's minds, make them laugh, make them cry, and sometimes even make them take action. Let me give you an example. When I tell entrepreneurs business is hard, they don't care. Everyone already knows that. But when I tell them starting a business is like dating, at first you're excited, butterflies in your stomach, you dress well, you smile all the time, but after some months you realize the other person snores, spends your money and steals your fries, yet somehow you still love them and you choose to stay. Suddenly they get it. They laugh, they nod, and they never forget the point. That is the power of a story. Smart people use stories because they make ideas simple, human, and unforgettable. When you explain with stories, you are not just teaching the mind, you are also reaching the heart. A clever statistic might win an argument, but a great story can win loyalty, trust, and admiration. That's why the best leaders, teachers, and entrepreneurs are also the best storytellers. If you want to sound smart, don't just say things people can analyze, say things they can visualize. Because at the end of the day, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how your story made them feel. Many people think sounding smart means using big words. They stand up and say things like, "I hereby postulate that the epistemological ramifications of this paradigm are unequivocally indispensable." What? Even Google Translate gives up on that sentence. Real smart people make things simple. Einstein said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." So don't try to sound like a walking dictionary. Speak so even a 10-year-old can understand you. If a 10-year-old understands, trust me, everyone else will too. Let me tell you a secret that most people don't realize. If you can make people laugh, they will automatically think you are smart, even if you are not. That's the magic of humor. Laughter creates a bridge between you and your audience. It relaxes people, breaks down barriers, and makes even the most boring subject feel enjoyable. When I first started giving speeches in English, my grammar was terrible. Sometimes I mixed up words so badly that even I didn't understand myself. If I had spoken seriously, people might have thought, this man is hopeless. But I added a little humor, I joked about my mistakes, and suddenly people thought, Jack is very wise. No, I was not wise. I was simply hiding my bad English with jokes. Humor is like makeup. It covers the flaws and makes you look better than you really are. Think of humor as sugar in medicine. Nobody likes bitter medicine, but when you coat it with sugar, people swallow it happily. The same is true for speaking. If you want to tell someone a hard truth, don't throw it at them like a stone. Wrap it with humor. For example, if you tell a friend, you are lazy, they will hate you. But if you say, you are so lazy that even your alarm clock has applied for retirement, they will laugh and then actually think about changing. Humor doesn't mean becoming a comedian. It means using lightness, clever comparisons, and playful exaggerations to make your point memorable. When people laugh, they not only enjoy your words, they also remember them. So if you want to speak smart, don't just be serious all the time, learn to be funny. A smart speaker knows when to drop wisdom and when to drop a joke. Many people think that sounding smart means having all the answers. But let me tell you the truth. Smart people are not the ones who always give answers. They are the ones who ask the right questions. Answers can end a conversation, but questions open doors. Questions make people think, imagine, and search for new possibilities. If you want to speak like a smart person, stop trying to sound like Google and start sounding like Socrates. When you speak, try asking questions that challenge the usual way of thinking. For example, why do we do it this way? This challenges tradition. What if we tried something different? This opens the door to innovation. Have you noticed how children learn faster than adults? Why? This inspires curiosity. A good question is like a fishing hook. It catches people's attention and pulls them into your idea. People will lean forward, think deeply, and sometimes even argue. That is good because it means you've made them engage. A boring statement makes people yawn, but a sharp question makes them wake up. When you ask questions, you don't just look thoughtful, you become thoughtful. Questions show that you are curious, open-minded, and humble enough to learn. Nobody likes a know-it-all, but everyone respects someone who asks, listens, and learns. Leaders who ask questions inspire their teams more than leaders who just bark orders. Teachers who ask questions create thinkers, not robots. Even in business, the person who asks the smartest question often controls the entire meeting. So, if you want to sound smart, remember this. Don't rush to answer everything. Ask the right questions, and you'll not only sound intelligent, you'll inspire intelligence in others too. Let me be brutally honest. Many people don't sound smart because they don't know when to stop talking. You've met these people, right? They keep going and going like a broken radio. They don't care if the audience has stopped listening, if the meeting ended 20 minutes ago, or if the lights have been turned off. They just keep talking. Smart speaking is not only about what you say, but also about what you don't say. Silence is powerful. Sometimes a pause speaks louder than a paragraph. If you want to sound smart, don't just fill the air with noise. Speak, pause, let it sink in. Let me tell you something funny. Most people are terrified of public speaking. In fact, surveys show that many people fear standing on a stage more than they fear death. Can you imagine? Some people would rather wrestle a lion, swim with crocodiles, or do taxes for their neighbors than hold a microphone and say, "Good evening." That's how powerful stage fright can be. But here's the truth. If you want to sound smart, you must learn to speak with confidence, even if deep inside you are shaking like an old Nokia phone on vibration mode. The good news is that confidence is not always about how you feel. It's about how you look. Nobody in the audience knows your heart is racing at 200 beats per minute. They don't know your knees are dancing cha-cha under the table. They only know what you show them. So how do you look confident? First, stand tall. Good posture instantly gives the impression of strength and authority. Second, look people in the eye, not like a hungry wolf, but with calm assurance. Third, use your hands. Let them move naturally. If your hands are shaking, wave them around like you meant it. Congratulations, you are now using expressive gestures. And here's a trick. If your voice trembles, just slow down. Pauses are powerful. If your mind goes blank, don't panic, smile. People will think you are pausing for dramatic effect. I have done this many times. Sometimes when I forget my English words, I just stop, smile, and suddenly everyone claps, thinking I have said something deep. Confidence is not about never being afraid. It's about acting in spite of fear. Fake it long enough, and eventually you won't just sound confident, you will become confident. Speaking smart is not about saying the same thing to everyone. It's about knowing who you're talking to. If you're speaking to children, use candy stories. If you're speaking to CEOs, use money stories. If you're speaking to politicians, well, just use promises. They love that. The point is, adapt your message. Smart speakers know how to switch gears depending on the audience. Every word you say should have a reason. Don't talk just to fill silence. Before you open your mouth, ask yourself, do I want to inspire? Do I want to teach? Do I want to persuade? Do I just want free coffee? If your words have no purpose, you are wasting everyone's time, including your own. A smart person speaks with direction. Finally, let me tell you a truth that people don't like. Speaking smart is a skill, not a gift. You are not born sounding smart. You practice, you fail, you say something silly, people laugh at you, and you learn. Over time, you get better. I practiced speaking by guiding foreign tourists in Hangzhou. My English was bad, but I kept trying. Every day, little by little, I improved. And today, people invite me to give speeches all over the world. So if you want to speak like a smart person, don't wait until you feel ready. Start speaking today. Practice, learn, repeat. That's how you grow. My friends, let me wrap this up before you start checking your phones again. To speak like a smart person, you don't need a PhD. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need to memorize big words. What you need is 1. Speak less, mean more. 2. Use stories, not just facts. 3. Don't impress, connect. 4. Add humor. 5. Ask good questions. 6. Know when to stop. 7. Speak with confidence. 8. Adapt to your audience. 9. Speak with purpose. 10. Practice, practice, practice. If you master these, people will look at you and say, wow, this person is really smart. And the funny thing is, you may not only sound smart, you may actually become smart in the process. Remember, your words are your weapon. Use them wisely, and you can inspire, influence, and change the world. Thank you.